Welcome to Dynamic Thriving Podcast. I am your host, Mary Ann Pack, spiritual guide into all things life transformational. And I'm so happy to have our guest today, Jacqueline Kane, is with us. Welcome, Jacqueline. I'm so happy that you have joined us.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary Ann.
I'm so glad you're here. So let's just jump right in. Who is Jacqueline Kane and what good do you bring into the world?
So I'm Jacqueline Kane, medical intuitive, and I help women get to the root cause of their physical pain and to get to the root cause of why they're unable to create significant cash flow in their lives. So I use techniques using ancestral energy clearing, EFT, and visualizations to heal the past so that they can trust their intuition and manifest their future.
Awesome. That's powerful.
It's a lot of fun to do.
Imagine. So you're a medical intuitive. Tell us a little bit more about what that means.
So a medical intuitive, the way I do it, I look at the whole mind-body pain connection, because so many people have been trying to heal the body without much luck. And I've discovered that we have to look at the emotions and the energy underneath. So as a medical intuitive, I'm looking at the energy that a person is carrying, which can impact their health. And by that, is the energy they're carrying, is it theirs or has it been passed down? So I'm looking at all of that to help people uncover why they're stuck in their lives, why they're unable to move forward. Some people have tried so many things to get out of pain and to heal their bodies without much luck. So when we look at the underlying emotions and the energies, healing happens pretty quickly after that.
Mm-hmm. I so agree, because my listeners know, that I was a very sick young woman, miserable and unhappy, and just for years. And, it finally came to a breaking point where I sought natural help. And that helped tremendously. But until I addressed my mindset and my emotions many years after that, I was feeling better. But real well-being and really feeling good in my body didn't happen until that mindset transformation, that emotional transformation, so I totally agree. That pain is because I realized with the disease that I was dealing with, when I stopped and looked at metaphysics, I created so much of that.
Yeah.
So when I healed the inner me, that emotional mindset, my thoughts, it just cleared up so much.
It's amazing, isn't it? And I experienced the same thing. I was depressed and having physical pain in my body, and my marriage fell apart. And oh my God, looking back, it was really painful going through all that stuff, but it was a gift and a blessing, because it set me on the journey, just like you, to uncover what's underneath the surface.
Yes.
And oh my God, there was so much stuff. I had no idea that I had so much repressed emotion, and I wasn't being me. I was completely not being me when I thought I was good. I thought I was being me.
Yes. For me, it was so much more childhood trauma and going through life in the religion that I was trained in. So their dogmatic, their rules just were very suppressive.
Yeah.
Especially for women. So I didn't realize I was carrying so many limiting beliefs and so much emotional trauma in my body.
Yeah.
It was just trapped there and waiting to be released. So I love that you're doing this. I love it, love it, love it. This is an awesome work in the world. So our topic today is unlock your ancestral story to take charge of your life. So what is ancestral energy? Just talk to us about that first.
Right. So ancestral energy is the unresolved emotional issues of our ancestors. So, for example, my mother grew up in Sardinia, Italy during World War II. She was the oldest of three children. My grandfather was away fighting the war. So my grandmother was home taking care of those three young children with German soldiers walking around.
Mhm.
So when I really started investigating this, I came to terms of how much fear I was living with, I was carrying in my body. And it wasn't until I had a conversation with my husband, I was really trying to grow my business and stepping out. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so hard for me. I have all this fear. And he's like, why? I don't have that kind of fear. And I just thought everybody did. Isn't it funny that
Yes.
the way we are, our patterns and habits, we just believe everybody feels that. So it really made me look at, well, why am I carrying all this fear? Why is everything so scary to me? And when I really delved into my mother's family and what she must have experienced, because they don't talk about it, right? They were living it. It was painful. Why talk about it? They were just trying to survive. And my mother to this day is still carrying a lot of that fear. But the beautiful thing is when I started healing this energy, I can heal it for her now when we can't really have conversations. She's not going to do the deep inner work because that's just not who she is. But I can help her by clearing the energy. And we don't even have to talk about it. But the shifts that come through in our relationships are profound.
Absolutely.
So,
And then on one side of it, you say, you just didn't understand why your husband didn't have this fear. But yet sometimes we turn it inward and we think we're the only ones. We're so broken. We need to, what's wrong with us? So
yes.
it can be two
Yeah.
different feelings. It can be
Yes.
feeling like, everybody deals with this, or I'm all alone.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I was feeling all alone. That
Mm.
there's something was wrong with me because the rest of the family seemed to be able to comply with the church dogma, and I just couldn't do it. I could not keep the rules. So I was
Yeah.
always getting into trouble and, guilted and shamed into compliance.
Mm.
So that, for, I can see both sides, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And both sides have their own belief systems and patterns and habits that follow with each one. So there's good and bad on both sides. And the cool thing is that everybody's right in what they think, right? Because it's our perception.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it just depends on if you want to change things and shift your life.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. When I started being able to evaluate why was I believing this? If it
Yeah.
felt so bad, why am I believing this? Because I just knew something life should feel better
Mm,
than this. I should have
yeah.
peace and joy and it should last. It shouldn't be so
The
conditional
highs
to
and
what
lows.
was
Yeah.
happening because I was so emotional. Yeah, there's highs and lows, the depression and then ecstatic, and instead of it just being such a gentle flow in life.
Yeah.
It was very disjointed and up and down and sideways.
That can be
So,
so frustrating. Yeah, I
mm,
totally understand that.
yeah. So what really got you? I mean, what triggered it that it was the ancestral energy for you that got you interested in actually doing this kind of work?
So the very first time I experienced an ancestral workshop, um, before I went to the workshop, my family, it was around Christmas time. So everybody, the whole family was together, my in-laws, and my in-laws are from Ireland. And all of our kids, the grandkids, are getting to a really good age. So my sister-in-law and I were talking and thinking, why don't we go to Ireland for Christmas or next year? Why don't we plan a trip? So when we were talking to my in-laws, my mother-in-law was like, we're not going. We're not, she was dead set against not going. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Why wouldn't you want to go? And I said, fine. You know, I talked to my husband. I said, well, maybe just the four of us will go, or your brother will go with us. So I go to this workshop. No sooner had he finished the energetic clearing, I walk out of the room. I'm checking my phone because we were in Texas and my son was living in Connecticut. And he's texting me saying, hey, I found a house for us to rent in Ireland and everybody's starting to plan the trip. I was like, I looked at that text. I'm like, but we're not going. From that moment on, everything just fell into place. Wow. The house and everybody got on board. The flights were booked. My mother-in-law still talks about that amazing trip, how she's so grateful that all her kids, all her grandchildren were there. And we rented a house where we all stayed together. I mean, it was one of her best vacations.
Yeah.
So, you know, when things like that happen, you're like, what was this that I just experienced? And I started doing it with my clients, and profound. People will listen sometimes just to a recording of me doing the clearing, and their low back pain goes away, or their relationships shift within their families. So, and the more work I do, I realize, oh my God, none of us are living our lives authentically us, because we're still an extension of our ancestors and their lives, right? We're carrying it. We're in our mother's womb. We have no choice but to continue the family and the habits and patterns. I didn't know what was happening at the time. So now that there's a way to clear it, and it's just profound. It's profound.
Yes. Yes, because I mean, this is a vibrational universe. It's governed by vibrations. So, you know, if everything is energy, as Einstein said, energy is always in motion. It's always vibrating at certain frequencies. And if you have a vibration within your body that's stuck there, that you experienced coming down your line of generational line, that vibration is there. So yeah, I can see that once somebody can clear that, it's just like your trip, you know, there was so much resistance to it up until the point the clearing was done. Once that happened for you, look how much it cleared for everyone. And boom.
And that's, the ripple effect is beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, I could never have planned a more beautiful vacation for everybody involved. And those are memories that we'll always have, you know. So the ripple effect is, I can't talk enough about it, of how impactful it is. And it's a new way, maybe in the whole healing system, right? In our medical system, we need to look at that to help people heal and to take back their lives, because we are powerful human beings, and people our control of our healing our bodies has been taken away from us. It's time to put it back in everybody's hands, that you are a powerful being and you can heal your body.
Yes.
And take charge.
Yes, yes, yes. Because for me, I believe that our natural state is that of well-being. So when we're not in well-being, then there's an imbalance. There's an energy imbalance. There's something there's some kind of a resistance that's holding us apart, you know, through our emotions or our thoughts or whatever, you know. So, you know, again, for me, I recognized once I started studying why was my body so sick? Why did I have all these autoimmune? Why did I have migraines from childhood? Why did I, you know, deal with all of this? And then to look back and go, that's a vibrational issue. That's an emotional issue. That until I cleared that, you know, which I'm still working on those limiting beliefs, you know, they'll crop up their ugly head, you know.
I think we will until we're in the ground, right? There's always something, there's always a next level.
Yes, yes, yes. And the thing is, though, we have to think, I mean, when we see that contrast, when we see that negative energy in our lives, that also lets us know, well, we don't want that, but we do want this.
Yes.
It helps us
Yes.
define more clearly, what do we want to live? Like you talked
Mm,
about the authenticity. Who am I really? What do I want to experience? How do I want to feel through this life? You
yeah.
know, so talk to us a little bit about that authenticity. How, how does this impact our lives? What is those benefits when people clear this? I'm sure you've got tons of stories of clients. So give it to us.
Yeah.
I love
So it does. It affects the main areas are it affects our health. So like I've experienced with my clients. So when they clear that, their pain goes away. Oh my God, there's so many examples of women coming in. So people with shoulder pain. Shoulder pain has a lot to do with emotions with our parents. Low back pain has a lot to do with feeling supported. So um, soon after the clearings, people with low back pain, the pain goes away. Um, Hip problems, are about moving forward. When we heal the area in their life that's causing them to be stuck in moving forward, their hip pain goes away. It impacts our ability to create a cash flow or income, the goals in our income that we would like to have. And so ancestral energy shows up in that if you've had an ancestor or a father or a grandfather who had their own business and it went bankrupt. Do you also find that you have financial trauma in your money? Maybe you're starting a business and it's been really difficult. That's a red flag that there's some lingering ancestral energy that's causing you not to create the business you desire. Relationships. If it's so hard for you to find that right one, that loving relationship, those deep connected relationships, where in your family ancestral line did other people also have similar situations? Maybe there's somebody always says, oh, Johnny was unlucky in love, things like that. So when we clear that energy, people start having deeper relationships. They get phone calls from friends they haven't heard of in a long time. When they clear the money part, money shows up. In one of the programs I did, one woman ended up receiving like $6,000 from money that was owed to her, but it finally showed up because we cleared whatever was stopping her from receiving that. In their spiritual life, I find many people who are in physical pain have a hard time believing that they can be successful. Somewhere in their childhood, they were taught to believe that they don't matter, that they make so many mistakes. And when you heal that, and again, usually somebody in your ancestral line also felt that way. Us today in 2021 as women, we have a lot of choices, but our mothers and our grandparents didn't have the choices we have. So it was harder for them. So that caused some limiting beliefs in us as women moving forward because we saw our parents and our ancestors and our grandmothers limit themselves and how much they were able to create. So again, just clearing all of these things. And the biggest thing I think it stops us from is the ability to stand in your power. If it's hard for you to speak up, if it's hard for you to set boundaries, it could be because you learned from your ancestors to be a people pleaser, to give and give to the point of exhaustion. And we all know those women who, to this day, I find women with fibromyalgia and autoimmune, they're people pleasers and they give and give from a depleted bucket of energy. And they don't take the time to replenish.
Mhm.
You know, I think they grew up with the attitude that self-care was being selfish, right?
Mhm.
Now we're able to say, no, I deserve self-care. But they gave to the point of exhaustion. So those are the areas that I find they're red flags. There's something that says, oh, we need to clear that. Oh, we need to clear that money part. Yeah.
Yeah. As you're talking, I'm just making some notes because it's like you're touching on things that I can see, with how I grew up. My dad was a beautiful cabinet builder, furniture builder, and
Mm,
yet he was always too afraid to go out on his own.
hmm.
He had the responsibility of a family. So
Yeah.
he was the only one who worked because I was trained mommies stay home and take care of babies. They don't work outside the house. So,
Right.
so that's another dimension that's difficult for me
Hmm.
to do. That's one of my limiting beliefs that it's scary to go out on your own.
Yeah.
Women, mommies just simply don't work outside. You just take care of babies and stay at home. And so, that's another dimension of underlying beliefs and not being able to speak up. It was always,
Mhm.
the children were to be seen and not heard. And,
Mhm.
uh, so I can definitely see, the people pleasing, when you were talking about, it just reminded me, I think it's Bernie Segal, in his book, he was a doctor that did surgeries, and then he would notice that some people bounced back from them and healed
Mm.
very quickly. And others of them, no matter what he did for them, no plastic surgery or any, they still saw themselves as ugly, as the way they.
Yeah.
He said, I could even put two pictures next to each other, the befores and afters, and they still couldn't see it because they
Can't.
believed they were ugly or they were disformed or they were whatever. You
Yeah.
And that just intrigued him so much. And then he also was talking to an oncologist. This is years ago. This is an older book, and but he was saying that all people with cancers, this oncologist said, every cancer patient I've had has resentment.
Ooh.
That was one of their biggest emotional issues that needed to be cleared. Was that he saw, because he would dig in and I guess ask them, what's going on with you? Because
Yeah.
he wasn't just, oh, let's just, give you the treatments and you're done, you're out of here.
Mm.
He actually wanted to know why his patients got this.
Mhm.
So I definitely,
Wow. That's a really great, and he was ahead of his time, right? There weren't.
oh, yes, this was years and years ago. Seemed
Yeah.
like it was a book that was written like maybe in the 70s or 80s,
Mm.
something, I don't remember, but that just has always stuck with me, thinking, oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, if you look up in Louise Hay's, I love her book. She
Yes.
gives a whole, like, it's incredible. Every possible underlying belief with every health condition.
Mhm.
And when it comes down to breast cancer, she's like deep seated anger.
Mhm.
And if you look at the women who end up with breast cancer, and I'm thinking, wow, she doesn't yell, she doesn't act out. So then it's like, oh, could this be ancestral energy and resentment that's been passed down? Right? It's incredible.
Yes, I used Louise Hay's, and we're referring to You Can Heal Your Life from Louise Hay. When
Yeah.
I started working on my mindset and my emotional, and I got her book, that was just eye opening because you were talking about being a people pleaser, not speaking up for your truth. Guess what I created for myself? Thyroid disease.
Yeah.
Because, at 22, I had a cold hard nodule that they surgically removed. But then
Mhm.
at the end of my 20s, when my second son was born, I had Graves' disease.
Mm.
So it's like,
Very common. Yeah.
oh, it's just when I saw what parts of my body were being hit and the emotional attachment to it,
Yeah.
it was like, duh, no wonder, no
And
wonder
when you,
I created that, because of the energy I was carrying.
yeah, and you talk about thyroid. So I was just working with a client this morning, and she's got a cracked tooth.
Wow.
She's got thyroid, and we were working on the fact when she was like 5 or 6 years old, she couldn't speak up, right? Imagine the intensity and the energy in our jaws as children who are not allowed to move that energy or speak up or cry. Even one client said that as a child, her parents like put her in a room when she was having a tantrum because, and they thought, because parents have a lot on their plate. It's not the parents' fault, right? As parents, we're all trying to do the right thing for our children. But their doctors told her, well, put her in her room and let her learn how to self-soothe at the age of 2. How is a 2-year-old going to learn how to self-soothe? Even at my age, I don't know how to self-soothe myself. I still got to talk it out. And we're all individuals. But what are you teaching her by putting her in her room by herself,
Abandoned.
And there's something wrong with you. And there's just so many emotions that could have, or beliefs that we could create in that time. So very powerful when we start looking at the body and the emotions underneath it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this conversation. This is so helpful. I know will be so helpful for so many people. You also talk about EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, or tapping. So talk to us a little bit about that, because I have something else I want to talk about when we.
Yeah. So once we uncover what it is, right? Where are we stuck? What's the energy? What's the limiting belief? How do we clear it? Because we want to clear it, right? We want to learn tools and techniques to clear it, to move to the other side. Now that we've learned so much about ourselves, I only want to be in that negative energy. I'll give myself 5 minutes. Maybe if I'm going through something big, I'm like, okay, I'll give you today. You've got today to be in this and feel it and allow it to move. But tomorrow we're moving on. So EFT, emotional freedom technique, is a wonderful clearing mechanism in the body. You tap on different acupressure points while you say certain things. And as you're tapping on the acupressure points, you're actually affecting the brain, the mind. So you're shifting you're clearing that negative emotion that you're feeling. And then you're putting in the positive, and you're reframing all of these beliefs and the story that you've been telling yourself that made you believe that belief. And deep-seated beliefs, when you believe a belief that strongly, it becomes a vow that's like sits in your energy field until you get the right tools to shift it. And EFT, emotional freedom technique, is a very powerful way to shift out of that. It's amazing. It can help you to heal the old stories. And then when you've done a lot of clearing and you're like, okay, I want to manifest my life. I want to set the intention today to receive 5 new clients or receive $5,000. You can energetically put that energy in as you tap. So depending on where you are on the spectrum and what you're doing each day, it's a powerful way to enhance and to magnetize what you're trying to attract.
Yes. I love that's the way it works. I mean, affecting those subtle energy points in our body, that it's a clearing first, and then it's an installing.
Yeah.
So for me, one time, I just remember very clearly, several years ago, I had just suddenly this right ankle pain started. I don't know where it came from, but for about 2 weeks, I had this right ankle pain. And, of course, that's motion forward. That's my masculine side. So I guess I was feeling like some masculine energy was holding me back from moving forward. And anyway, when I was trying to analyze where did this pain come from? So for about 2 weeks, I suffered with it. And finally I went, duh, I have the tools for this. So I started tapping on it and doing my rounds of tapping. And in that session, it completely cleared and it never returned.
It's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
just amazing what it can do. And I mean, there's been other times, but that one just profoundly stuck out in my head that, here I can have it consistently for 2 weeks. And as soon as I just do the work, it goes
Sometimes we have to be in it though,
Yeah.
right? Like I think sometimes we just have to feel it.
Yes.
And then something else in our lives physically out in the outer world needs to happen to help you to be able to quickly move through that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I, too, you were talking about letting yourself, allowing yourself the permission to feel those feelings.
Mhm.
And that's because I teach the law of attraction. I don't want to stay in that place very long.
Yeah.
Because I know all I'm doing is allowing the momentum to build, to expand that feeling.
That way.
So
Yeah.
I would always fuss at myself and, browbeat myself for having those negative feelings. And all I was doing was I was pushing against those feelings. So I was compounding them. I was
Yeah.
expanding them in that way instead of just moving through them and allowing myself to, feel those bad feelings and say, it's okay, help's on the way.
Yeah.
Go through this. And then I'm noticing when I allow myself to do this and not beat up on myself, I move through them so much more quickly.
Yes.
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 You're in and out, you're releasing and we're moving forward because I'm very much proponent of we're here now. We're not going back there. We're here now and we're going to move forward.
Mhm.
So even though, but the thing is, those backward things are in our now. That pain is in our now. So we still have to deal with them.
Yeah.
They're where we are right now and they're blocking our authentic lives. So, okay, if
Mm.
we're wanting to get to that authentic side of us, then we have to feel it and then move forward.
Yeah, because they're here to teach us something, right? And it's just energy in motion. The
Right.
more we feel it, we can move it up and out of our bodies
Mhm.
instead of suppressing it, which can come out as physical pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some of the, I know we talked a little bit about it, but can you expound a little bit more on what some of the benefits are? You know, I'm sure there's other things like even sleeplessness and insomnia and not only pain, but the illnesses, the just expand on that just a little bit more with how you
There's
deal with your clients.
there's just more ease and flow that shows up.
Mm,
I think so before clients start doing the work, they sometimes they worry about, if we're looking at physical pain, they worry about the physical pain, right? But when we heal all of this, they're calmer. They don't have to worry so much. They are more present. You become energetically aligned to your soul's purpose. So what I'm finding in my life is things are showing up faster. Like I can just have a thought and say I need somebody, or I'm thinking of a person. They call me, they contact me.
mm,
Or for example, I was talking to somebody and she was asking about trademark. And I'm like, well, I don't know any trademarkers, but I know I have a friend who used one. That same person posted something on Facebook not 5 minutes later. I was like, oh my God, there you go. You got your answer. So when you become energetically aligned to your soul's purpose, your life is magical.
mhm.
There is no stress. Things are going to come and go. And you're just like, yep, okay, so we're in a pandemic. I have to shift a little bit, but how can I continue to ask myself, how does life get any better than this?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're living your soul's purpose, nothing is good or bad. It's just what is. And there's benefits, there's cons and pros from everything that shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different way of living your life. Not only that, but the ripple, we talked a little bit about the ripple effect. The more I heal my ancestral line and stay present, my kids' lives are easier. And I know as a mom, we want our kids to not suffer as much as we did, right? We want to make their lives easier. And the more work I do, my kids are being more successful than I ever thought possible. Before I ever started doing this work, I used to worry all the time. Oh my God, my son's 5 states away. How's he going to get everything done? And now it's like, no, I can trust that everything's working out for his best good, for his highest purpose. And we don't always know the bigger impact of what's happening, the bigger vision that we came here to do, to be, to have. So I don't want to block any opportunities. So the more I'm an open channel for myself, for my clients, for my family, life just gets better and better. It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. When you're talking, the word satisfaction came up. There's so much, you're just at peace with where you are,
Yeah.
but you're eager for more. You're just satisfied. These are satisfying moments. These are winks from the universe that we get, the synchronicities, I love that. I love that.
And I guess the other thing is that the joy comes in from me, right? I'm not looking outside of my life for somebody to make me happy.
Yes,
You're happy just because you're here, just because you're breathing, and you appreciate life so at such a deeper level. It's really hard to understand unless you're doing the work and you're on the journey, right? There's a level of complete fulfillment that if I go tomorrow, I know I'm complete.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an amazing feeling. It's truly magical.
Yeah.
Truly magical.
Yeah, this kind of healing just supports our worthiness, our deservedness, our confidence, that authenticity when we live, live our purpose. And I believe our purpose is to experience as much joy as possible. And then everything else is that ripple effect. Once we're in joy and we're satisfied and at peace, that ripple effect goes out and attracts whatever it is that we're desiring. So it is easier, like you said, to deal with, to feel your well-being, to feel your well-being of your finances, to do these other things just come to you.
Yes. Yes, just to be a receiving vessel for all the goodness that you came here to be, right? You just have to show up.
Yes. Yes, we're worthy. We can't be any less than worthy because we just are. It's who we are.
Yeah.
And that's what I love helping people, is to remember who they are.
Yeah.
You're an extension of source energy in the flesh, that you are love, you are joy, you are abundance, you are peace, you are, all these beautiful attributes that you are. It's not something you have to attain. Once you release all that excess energy that's no longer serving you, then that gets to shine. The real you gets to shine.
Yeah. And you don't need to learn one more thing. You're perfect just the way you are.
Yes, we don't have to be fixed. We're not broken. We just need to unlayer those other things. And I love this. I love this. So how can people work with you? Where can they find you?
So they can go to my website, jacquelinemkane.com. And from there, you can find my Facebook group, which is Healing by Jacqueline Kane,
Okay.
and connect with me there and join up. I'm always giving, right now I'm doing 100 days of self-love challenge. So every day I'm going live on Instagram and Facebook, which is a lot, but I'm doing it and I'm loving it. And it's fun every day coming up with one more thing that I really do love that I may have forgotten about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and you have other programs and things that people can look at on your website.
Yep. There's programs on there. I work with people individual and I do groups. I'll be starting a membership and I'll be doing more retreats going forward, to help more women to release all of these emotions and to be more energetically aligned to who they are so that they can give that. I work mostly with a lot of moms.
Mm,
And if we can help support the moms out there who are taking care of our future generations, then that's a huge gift to the world. Our
absolutely.
moms are so overloaded and they need as much support as they can receive.
Absolutely. I agree. Mm, you know, we fall into that over mothering category, or, you know, that people pleasing, always
Mhm.
serving out of sacrifice to
Mm,
our well-being.
yeah.
I mean, that's just, I see that over and over again in our lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely can see that. So they can find your, they can connect with you to your Facebook group through your website,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
JacquelineMKane.com. And that will, of course, be in the description. So you'll be able to find that. I'm so thankful that you spent time with us today. I loved sharing this message about ancestral energy and clearing it, healing it, and going forward in a beautiful lives, beautiful, authentic lives. So thank you, Jacqueline, for coming and visiting with us.
Thank you. This has been amazing. It's been great to be with you.
Do you have any departing words of wisdom?
Oh, just always go with your gut instinct. And if you if you're living with chronic pain, if you're feeling like you can't earn the income you desire, keep searching. There's something for everybody, and it is possible to live pain-free and energized and create the life you desire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I thank you for this message of hope and healing and well being, because it's who we are. And as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming to spend time with us. And I would love it if you would like your comment, and be sure and subscribe to this podcast. This really helps our work go further into the world. That ripple effect of love and joy that we want to spread, that message of hope, that message of healing. And as always, you are welcome to visit my website, maryannpack.com, to view all of our offers and services. And we would love to work with you. So, again, thank you, Jacqueline. I'm so happy that you came. And remember, everyone, you are joy looking for a way to express.